Holy smokes, guys. I top ticked SLV and shorted silver at the top. I was able to turn $600 into $2,500. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how I did it. Now, today, if you look at the market, right, SLV, which is the ETF that tracks silver, is down over 30%. The market is absolutely crashing, and today is going to be a historic move, right? One that you're not going to be able to see again, possibly for the rest of your life. Now, I'm going to get into the trade and exactly what happened. So, on January 26th, right, silver was up over 15% in a day. And, I've been watching silver go up and up and up continuously. And I finally said, you know what? If the price of silver keeps going up, right, no one's going to be able to back these future contracts, right? Because if people actually take delivery of that silver, right, from the futures contract instead of just selling it, right, cash settle in the futures contract, then the price of physical silver will continue to balloon, and the dealers, right, want to actually be able to make the deliveries, so all of those future contracts will default, right? So with silver being up over 15% in a day and retail speculation driving up the price, while at the same time the possibility of the futures market break-in, I was like, okay, well, here we go. Let's step in front of the silver short squeeze and let's buy some puts. So I can throw up on the screen here which ones I got, but I ended up going to February, right, on the options chain. So I wanted to get some time because when you step in front of a short squeeze, right, you never necessarily know when the bubble's going to pop, but I was fairly certain, right, that we were going to get some big momentum down, and I wanted to take advantage of it, right? So I bought two different contracts, right? I didn't want to, concentrate in the one contract, so I grabbed the 84 put and the 74 put, okay? Now this was at when SLV was trading at 106, okay? And I bought option contracts, which are the ability, right, to buy or sell, right, a security, if it's a stock, ETF, whatever it may be, at a certain price and at a certain time at expiration, okay? So essentially you are buying a contract, right, or you can sell it, but we're going to stay here in the case of buying it because that's what I did. It was a naked put, and it gave me the ability, right, theoretically, to sell shares at a certain price, at, for example, 84 and 74. Now, as the price of silver goes down, or the ETF, right, well, if the ETF is below 84 or 74, well, that makes it more attractive, right, to be able to sell the stock at that price. If I have the right to sell the ETF at $84 and the price, right, is at 70, well, inherently you have $14 there of intrinsic value, right, on the contract, per contract, right? So that's kind of short story short, how the contracts work and how I made the money. I was investing that, the price of silver would collapse and that these contracts I bought would allow me to, profit off of the price going down, sell them higher, right? I could exercise the option contracts or just sell them on the open market, which is exactly what I did. And at first, right, it was kind of interesting because the implied volatility on these contracts were so high. I mean, on January 26th, the IV was at 120%, which means that the market was already expecting huge moves, right, in the underlying security. So for me to actually make money on the investment, not only did I need it to go down, I needed it to go down at a fast pace, which is exactly what happened. And interestingly enough, that same day when I bought the contracts, right, as the ETF was going higher, so were my put contracts because the implied volatility was getting jacked. So I say that's crazy because, right, I have the right to sell something, right, at $84, and which is theoretically worthless until it's in the money, right? I just had time value and the implied volatility. But as the stock was going up, I was making money, okay? And you could have seen on that day, if you look at the options chain, look at January 26th, look at the 84 puts and the 74 puts, and you'll see all day that the puts were actually going up in value. So I held them out. Interesting enough, I was making money on the puts while the stock was, or the ETF was increasing, and I held them. And today, right, I woke up, I heard news, right, that silver sold off overnight. And when the market opened, right, we had a brief relief rally. A dip buyer stepped in momentarily, and then all hell broke loose, okay? And that allowed me to cash in on a trade of a lifetime, honestly. I mean, I was able to turn, right, a $600 investment into over $2,500, okay? Insane returns. We top ticked, silver SLV, perfect timing, and we would have made even more money, okay, if the implied volatility wasn't so high. But, since the price of silver was skyrocketing, the market was pricing in big moves down, unfortunately, already. So some of that, move was priced into the option, which is why we couldn't, hit, a crazy like 10,000 percenter or anything, right? It's not like nobody was expecting high movement in silver, okay? Everybody was expecting that. But we timed it perfectly with the move, and that's exactly how I turned $600 into $2,500. And if you guys follow my Instagram, follow my Twitter, right? I actually posted this trade when I did it at the time of the trade, exactly. So all my followers were able to get the trade, place it, and ride it out with me. And it was a great time, we made a killing on it. These moves, are historic. I mean, silver, the moving this much in one day, that never happens. So to be able to see this happen in our lifetime is not only amazing, but to be able to make this sort of money. And right, this was in my trading account. Once again, we do long-term investing here, but also trading. So get yourself a long-term portfolio, right? Options are extremely risky, right? Get yourself a long-term. We trade on the side, right? We make money when the market goes up and down. And, right, we played the momentum. The market, the silver market was in a bubble. And, right, that's what we do. I mean, we buy stocks at lows, 5-year lows for the long term, right? On trades, when I see, bubbles, I will short them, right? And we made an absolute killing. And, we'll see where it goes from now. But, today people are going to get margin called. People were forced liquidated. And the move was absolutely incredible. I mean, once in a lifetime trade that you're going to see. And I gave it to all of you guys right before it happened. And, that's what I want to stress here, right? We're a community. We help each other, okay? We crowdsource information. We're the first to the news, always, okay? We're always the first ones there. Other people out here, right? They're just going to show you they made money on the trade, right? But they don't tell you before, okay? Because that is scared money, right? They're afraid of being wrong, and they don't put themselves out there on the line, okay? And tell people before, right? They always, 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 okay, tell you after they did a trade. Bunch of fakers out here, right? I'm the one that is putting my life on the line for you guys. I'm out here sticking my reputation. I tell you every trade I do, if it's in the long term, right, or the short term trades, I'm telling you what it is. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. All the proof is here. I'm gonna, post the trades, everything that happened. So there's no bullshit, right? That's what this channel is about, right? I tell you guys the truth. I'm the first one to get you information. I don't bullshit, right? We stack, wealth and assets. We have a long-term portfolio. We buy real estate, and we hit trades, right? Because there's nothing inherently wrong with trading in the short term, right? You just don't want to be making unnecessary trades. But when opportunity presents itself, we are always there, okay? We're always going to be there. We're always going to make money on this stuff. And to be honest, finger to the sky. I mean, God willing, right? We're blessed. It was perfect timing on this trade. The trade theoretically could have gone against us. We could have kept getting squeezed, but we entered the trade at perfect timing. And, all I can say is that we're going to be on to the next opportunity, right? We're not done here. It's on to the next one, okay? Every single day is going to provide you opportunity. You just have to wake up and chase it, right? Wake up and drive, make small good decisions every single day. Get yourself a long-term portfolio, set up those monthly deposits, and right, stay tuned, right? What I got for you guys. I mean, ever since I started this channel, it's been straight money, and we're gonna keep riding the wave. We're gonna keep doing great, and I'm just excited, guys, to keep doing this for you. I'm one of the only ones out here, right, that are actually giving you guys everything for free right now. All the trades, all the investments are posted on my socials, right? Right when I do them, before the move happens. So, guys, that's what I got for you. Silver's crashing. We timed it perfectly with options, right? We leveraged up. We made a killing. And now we're going to see where things go from here. But we closed out the contracts, right? We took big profit. And let's go! I'm excited, man. I fucking love this shit. Let's go. Peace out.